Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 in the Gregorian calendar, and the 13th of Kislev, 5786 in the Hebrew calendar. Stay tuned for the end of the show where we will have a report from the cemetery in Kibbutz Be'eri, where we covered the burial of hostage body Dror Or. We also have compelling clips from an interview with the father of Ran Gvili, the last Israeli hostage body in Gaza, though there are rumors that he is being brought back to Israel, but those are not confirmed. Now, let's get to the news. On Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu published a video with a personal plea to President Isaac Herzog for a pardon. Sources close to the Prime Minister say he would not consider a plea deal that would require him to retire from politics, and that he intends to run again, while sources close to Herzog reveal that a decision could take at least 2 months. Earlier this month, U.S. President Donald Trump sent a letter to President Herzog urging him to pardon Netanyahu and called the Prime Minister's corruption trial political and unjustified. President Herzog released a statement on Monday saying that he will only consider the good of the state and address the significant implications that this can carry. Netanyahu's attorney, Amit Haddad, formally delivered the request to the president's office legal department and has now been transferred to the Justice Ministry's Pardons Department. The assessments will then be forwarded to the president's legal advisor, who will prepare additional recommendations for Herzog before he makes his final decision. Prime Minister Netanyahu has been on trial since May 2020 after being indicted in 2019 in 3 separate cases known as Case 1000, Case 2000, and Case 4000. If you're wondering where Case 3000 is, you're going to have to tune into our deep dive with Benjamin Moalem to get that answer. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is charged with 1 count of bribery and 3 counts of fraud and breach of trust. He has pleaded not guilty and has denied any wrongdoing. We did a deep dive on this in our new podcast segment called Deep Dive with Benjamin Moalem. He is a legal expert. Tune in right here on the Israel Daily News on any platform that you get your podcast to hear that long, deep dive on this topic and find out what it means. 3 Italian nationals and 1 Canadian were hospitalized after a reported attack by extremist settlers near Jericho on Saturday night. Jericho being in the West Bank or Judea and Samaria, depending on how you call it. According to Palestinian media, the group were, quote, activists who were attacked while sleeping in Jericho. One of the activists told AFP News that at least 10 settlers attacked them, with 2 of the 10 being armed with guns and the others holding sticks. One activist has been placed on bed rest for a few days, while the others have been discharged from the hospital. I did try to get more on this, but there are not so many more details. I'll come back to you if I find more information. Former hostage Gadi Mozes is furious over what he says is government abandonment. He told the media that the government left him on October 7th and thereafter by not taking responsibility and not initiating a state commission into the attacks of October 7th. In a Friday interview with Israel's Channel 12 News, Moses doubled down on his claims, adding that not a single minister has called him to welcome him back home after being in captivity. He says President Isaac Herzog called him and that it, quote, warmed his heart. Moses also added that the German ambassador to Israel, Stefan Siebert, visited him in the hospital and sat with him for an hour and a half, speaking in both Hebrew and English. Moses is advocating for a state commission of the attacks on October 7th and is demanding government accountability. Gadi Mozes moved back to Kibbutz Dror Or at the Gaza border in October, and that's exactly where he was abducted from. His partner, Efrat Katz, was killed that morning, and her daughter, Doron Katz Asher, along with her grandchildren, Raz and Aviv, were taken to Gaza as captives, but later released. Gadi Mozes was released on January 30th, 2025, after 482 days in Hamas captivity. Gadi Mozes was one of the oldest hostages held in Gaza at 80 years old. 482 days in Hamas captivity, 80 years old. 3 Palestinians were killed on Saturday in separate incidents after crossing the yellow line, demarcating Israel's military withdrawal in southern Gaza. In one incident near Khan Yunis, 2 individuals identified by Palestinian media as brothers Juma, 11, and Fadi, 8, of the Abu Asi family were killed in an airstrike. The military said troops identified 2 suspects carrying out suspicious activity and approaching forces in a threatening manner. Family members told Palestinian media the children had gone to gather firewood for their injured father. In a separate incident in Rafah, another individual was killed after reportedly crossing the line and approaching troops. The military has warned Palestinians not to approach Israeli forces and has placed physical markers along the yellow line, in addition to publishing an online map of these boundaries. Israeli authorities are also announcing the opening of a 15th field hospital in Gaza with 150 beds and more than 1,000 patients daily, with prenatal care, mental health services, and physiotherapy. In case you're a bit confused about this, part of the ceasefire agreement was that Israel, the IDF, would retreat to some agreed upon lines. So instead of taking the troops completely out of Gaza, which could have been really dangerous for Israelis, they have removed themselves to a certain point. And this is the yellow line. It's called the yellow line. So that's what this story is referencing, these yellow lines. And unfortunately, 2 young Palestinian children who were killed by getting too close and being assumed a threat. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs. Israeli affairs is not an easy interest. Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us with contributions by going over to our website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly donation using the Patreon link. There's also an option for a one-time donation. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Marianne Vollinger for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news. We are on X, YouTube, TikTok, and on Instagram. Our page is about 40,000 followers. You can also follow my personal page at Shanna Fold. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. Hanukkah is starting up in just a week, and if you did not do your gifting yet, the Israel Daily News has you covered. Get into Hasod, which is a gifting company in Tel Aviv that works to make and easily ship boxes of locally produced and locally sourced gifts. They are ready to be shipped around the world. And this Hanukkah, I actually put together a list of my favorite Hasod items. They're all things that I have tasted, drank, or worn. I actually have my favorite scarf. This gorgeous green scarf was gifted to me, and I can't tell you how often I wear it. If you're watching this on video, you can see it. But if you're just listening on Spotify, you could imagine it's a green scarf with a gold embellishment around the leaves. I put my top favorites on the Hasod store website. You can send boxes to friends and family, knowing that 18% of your purchase will go to fund the Israel Daily News. The link for the Hasod boxes are in the show notes. When you check out, use the code IDN10 for 10% off your order. That's right, you get a 10% discount, and you get 18% of your purchase going to support our operation. If you don't have anyone in mind that you would like to give this gift box to, you can donate it to a family who was deeply affected by the war. The link is in the show notes, or you can go to hasodstore.com. That's IDN10 to get 10% off. Go over to hasodstore.com. On a diplomatic visit to Argentina, Foreign Minister Gideon Saar revealed that Argentina's president, Javier Milei, plans to move his country's embassy to Jerusalem in the spring. Milei, an outspoken ally of Israel and advocate for the Argentinian Jewish community, met with Saar at the presidential palace in Buenos Aires, where the two leaders discussed issues concerning Hezbollah and Iran and raised the need for Argentina to designate the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps as a terrorist organization. I actually have a huge family in Buenos Aires, and I speak pretty good Spanish, or as they say, Castellano, and sometimes I release my clips with Spanish subtitles for them and the rest of the Spanish-speaking world. Now for our special coverage of Sunday's Dror Or funeral, or in an Israeli accent, Dror Or funeral. We have a 2-minute video up on our social media, but here is the full story. Dror Or, the third to last hostage body returned to Israel from Gaza, was finally laid to rest on Sunday, November 30th, 2025, bringing a painful chapter to a close for his tight-knit community in Kibbutz Be'eri. Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists. Yes, not Hamas, Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists. That just gives you an idea of all the individuals and communities that blew over the border on October 7th. The Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists murdered Dror's wife, Yonat, on October 7th, killed Dror and took his body to Gaza, and also kidnapped 2 out of 3 of their kids alive. 2 of their 3 kids, Alma and Noam, were abducted to Gaza and released in the first ceasefire deal. Their eldest boy, Yali, was not at home on October 7th and was in the north doing a national year of service. When terrorists entered the Or family home and set it on fire, Dror and Yonat Or instructed their kids to jump out the window, run, and stay together. That heroic sacrifice saved their lives. Dror's body was returned on November 28th, 2025, exactly 2 years to the day after his children were released alive from captivity in Gaza. Dror Or's body was returned in exchange for 15 Palestinian prisoners who were in Israeli detention centers. His children delivered raw, emotional testimonies at the funeral, crying into the microphone as they said goodbye to their father, or Abba in Hebrew, at last. Dror Or was raised in Kibbutz Be'eri, one of the hardest hit Gaza border communities. Also attending the funeral were the family of Ran Gvili, the last Israeli hostage held in Gaza, and former hostage Eli Sharabi, alongside hundreds of Beeri residents. Dror's mother, Dror Or, described her son's early life, his love of basketball, and his travels. At a young age, he met Yonat while working in Kibbutz Be'eri's printing press. The couple moved to Tel Aviv, where Dror Or went to culinary school before moving back to Kibbutz Be'eri in 2004. Soon after, he began to make cheeses and later ran the Beeri dairy. Dror traveled Europe studying and learning the best cheese practices before officially making cheeses here in Israel. Yonat Or, his late wife, owned a carpentry shop and home design business in Beeri, and she became a well-known figure in Israeli interior design. Also present at this funeral was Israeli singer Ehud Banai, a favorite of the Or family. His voice was beautiful. The funeral was held at the Beeri cemetery where thousands came to pay their respects. At the end, people took flowers one by one and laid them on the fresh grave of Dror Or. We spoke with many cousins and individuals who had family members taken hostage. Each one came to support the Or family at this time. One cousin told us at the Israel Daily News that they will begin to eat cheese again after a 2-year pause in solidarity with Dror. Take a listen to the voices of those who showed up for the family, including the father of Ran Gvili, who is waiting to receive the body of his son, the last Israeli hostage body left in Gaza, the last one. Sudtisak Rinthalak, a Thai national who was killed on October 7th and taken into Gaza, is also still there at this moment, at the time of this podcast recording.
I know the family since I was a little girl. Mother was a hostage as well, and we became a big family. And we came here to be with them today. It's very sad, and it's kind of relief that all the time tell it's end. It's not a good end, but it's at least it's end. And we have 2 more to bring back. We must not forget them and fight for them as well.
It's a bad day like all days since the 7th of October.
My name is Gadi. I'm a father of Ran Gvili. He's the last hostage in Gaza. And we're waiting for him. We came here to be with the whole family, give him a hug. And this is the situation. Now we are the last people here waiting to my son. It's sad, that's the last. It's a family. The last is their father and the mother, and now they have to deal small children with no father, no mother. With all the sadness, and this is our life from the 7th October, and this is what we are now, and we have to deal with all this now, with the good things and with the bad things.
After Or's burial, the Hostages and Missing Families Forum announced that it would tone down activity and ultimately suspend Saturday night rallies after 2 years. They report that rallies cost more than $61,000 and that now, with just one Israeli hostage family waiting, with the other family being in Thailand, the Saturday night rallies will be suspended. But Friday afternoon, those are still going on. These are less reliant on tech and speaker systems and music and guests. Those Friday afternoons will continue on. The family of Ran Gvili say they instead will be doing communal Kabbalat Shabbat, which is a ceremonious time of song each week that officially welcomes in the Sabbath. All right, well, that is it for today's show. Today is Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025, although I'll admit that I am recording close to midnight, so this may be coming out on Wednesday. Tel Aviv has a low of 16 degrees Celsius and a high of 23 degrees. That's 60 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 73 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week, and of course with a personal note from me at the top. You can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. Have a great and productive day and an excellent rest of your week. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.